So the transfer roundup then, we have, as discussed previously, around about 14 hours as we record this podcast to sign some reinforcements. We've already signed Aidan Heaven and Patrick Dorgu, who were announced on the pitch yesterday before the game, and they must have been like, oof, what have we got ourselves in for here? But it's a weird one because Heaven was always supposed to be back up to Lisandro Martinez, and that might seem like he's going to be in the first team almost immediately because that did not look good yesterday. I don't know if there's been any update about Martinez's injury, but it looks like Aidan Heaven might be starting sooner than he thinks, right?
Yeah, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, like everything that could have gone wrong yesterday, it went wrong. The last thing that we needed was an injury to Lisandro, to be honest. He's been doing really well recently.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we do not have cover for him, especially in the system that we're playing. It's one of the most important pieces is the left-footed centre back. So maybe having a good start, being integrated into the team like quicker than we thought. He is coming. He was coming either way as a first team player. He wasn't coming as an under 18 or 23, but. Yeah, I think it's too soon to just throw him in there. He looks good. Honestly, I don't think he would do worse than what we have. So
that's the bar. That's the bar for it. That's where we're going.
Exactly.
That's how low it is.
But maybe we can dip into the market. Maybe find someone. I think Luke Shaw is back in training. Maybe he's another option. I don't know.
You can't rely on him, though. You cannot rely on Luke Shaw. It's embarrassing. But at least we've got left-sided defenders into the club with Dorgu and Heaven. Because God knows I've had enough of watching Davo stake that position out. He's literally... Maybe he'll come good when he's playing on the right and they're rotating between him and Mazraoui. I know you're furious with it.
He's never going to come good. He's never going to come good. The sooner everyone accepts that and moves him on and just he's just a bit part player who's going to come in for 10 minutes or play the League Cup games or something. Honestly, this guy, I keep on saying it. I've been saying it for so long. Even last season when he was having his best season. This guy is he's a major part of the issue that we have. He's that's all I'm going to say. He's been there every time we've had issues. It's not a coincidence. So, I mean, you just move him on. I don't know. It's crazy.
I can't personally move him on, but I can definitely move the conversation on to talk about who the transfers are that are coming in. But the only people that we've been linked with recently was Leon Bailey, which was dismissed within minutes. So I imagine his name came up during conversations with Rashford or between Manchester United and Aston Villa when Rashford was talked about. There was a little sniff of, maybe we'll go for Bailey because he hasn't really played that much this season. And then that was dismissed out of hand. Then we've got Quenda from Sporting, who cannot join Manchester United until the summer at the earliest because he's only 17. Brexit rules or European rules now dictate that you can't sign players to the Premier League from foreign clubs until they're 18. So Quenda's not going to join until the next season at the earliest. And then I think that was basically it. That was it. That was the... Oh, and Mateusz Tel. Yeah. And that's it. And Tel, I just don't... I see that as another high-risk Højlund, Xerxes, can this guy hit a barn door? And the statistics suggest that he can't because he may be sat there. I saw Fabrizio Romano saying he's waiting by the phone. He really wants his move. He wants to move on. He hasn't scored since May. He hasn't scored a league goal since May.
Since May.
Yeah.
So basically nothing this season.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing at all. That's not what you want.
That's the last thing you need. Maybe I always thought he is a striker. And he would come in as a striker, but after seeing more of him and getting doing my research more, it seems like he's a left-sided forward, more in a Garnacho role thing. But That's not what we need, to be honest. Even though Garnacho yesterday, but like he couldn't take on his man at all. That's another issue.
Yeah,
like that's another issue that we can talk about later. But we need someone who is a focal point, who can actually score goals, who knows how to score goals. Because the only time that Garnacho like actually did something, and like he put the ball across with his left foot in a very dangerous area. If you have a proper striker there, he's gonna predict that and he's gonna score. That's an easy goal, but we don't. Like even if Foyth and Zirkzee were on the pitch, they wouldn't have gotten to that. So we need someone. We need like a proper striker, but it doesn't seem like there's anything happening.
I think obviously Gyökeres would have been the perfect foil for this team, and you know it's hard to know whether or not he would have been a 20-goal a season striker this season playing with that squad. But we do need someone that is actually proving that they're able to do it. And one of the players that I'd have taken a risk on this player rather than taking a risk on Tell. But West Ham loaning Evan Ferguson from Brighton, like that could have been us. If you want to take a risk, I'm not saying he's a proven goal scorer, but he's got Premier League experience. He has scored goals for Brighton. He's got a problem with his fitness, and he gets injured quite often. But if you're going to take a risk on a player, why not someone that's already been doing it in the Premier League that isn't going to cost you a ton of cash? I'd have snapped Evan Ferguson up.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Like you said, okay, it's not ideal. Like it's not the most perfect scenario. Getting someone who's been struggling with fitness, who I think last season he was injured most of it, and who hasn't gotten into the rhythm. But he's still young, and he's shown that he can be like a good option to have. And yeah, like he scores goals. Like he scores goals. I think he's gonna do well at West Ham. But I mean, like the only thing I'd say, if you're going for Tell, you might as well go for Ferguson, because it's obvious you're not going for that proven goal scorer that's gonna guarantee you goals. So like it's not gonna make a difference if you go for Tell or Ferguson. Ferguson, like you said, is a safer bet. So I don't know how the thought process is for them, but I don't know.
But I was thinking about this morning, and like the previous regimes that we've had, like with Ed Woodward, notably, we would get to the end of the January transfer window or the summer window, and we would end up with whatever they could grab. It was essentially what we would call like a supermarket sweep, which was a TV show from the early 90s in the UK, mate. But they used to run around and try and throw as much stuff in their trolley as quick as possible. And that feels exactly like what we do at the end of every single transfer window. And on that show, it used to be an inflatable banana, and on this one, it's going to be Mateus Tell. So it's, you know, which one's going to be the most useful in this situation? Isn't this what Ashworth was brought in to do in the first place, to kind of organise these things, to have a plan B, to have a plan A, B, C, D, whatever it is, and work out exactly what we need in each position, so that it didn't come down to last day of the transfer window, who we're going to sign. Surely that was the whole point, or the whole remit of having him in that position. And now, apart from Tell, we may end up with someone else, but apart from Tell, there are no other players that are linked to us. No one.
Yeah.
No main strikers. No nothing.
Honestly, the thing with the January transfer window, especially because it's such a short period, it's almost like a domino effect. Because like one transfer goes through for a club, another transfer goes through for another club, and like it's a domino effect. So you can't really know what opportunities you're gonna get, maybe until like the last few days. So I'm sure like they had targets. I'm sure Mateus Tell was a target for a long time. But we've been trying to make sure that we moved on like Anthony and Rashford, so that we don't get ourselves into like a mess before like actually going for someone. But yeah, like other than Tell, we've also been linked with Nkunku, who also I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about. Like he scores goals. To be honest, like he's good. I'm not gonna say he's bad. Like he's 100% is gonna be better than what we have. Like that's 100% for sure.
But whenever I hear stuff like this, I always think, and this has happened from many seasons back since Ferguson was in charge, or when he left soon after that. Why would Chelsea want to get rid of Nkunku to Manchester United, a rival? Surely, if they don't fancy him, then there's a reason why. Same with Mount. If they didn't fancy him, why did they get rid of him? Yes, there's the money aspect of it, but then with Nkunku, you do not get that. They want to get rid of him after a season or so because something is fundamentally wrong there. He doesn't fit their system. Okay, cool. But what are the other things? He's injured a lot. He doesn't score that often. He's not as consistent as he needs. If you want that, we've got it. We've got these lads here. They can be inconsistent. They can be injured. They can do all those things that lad's doing. So it doesn't make sense to me. And every single transfer window, even with these guys, and I know it's their first time, you've got to give them a bit of leeway with it. But even with people in place that are supposed to be professionals at doing this, fixing this problem, I don't get the sense that we're in a safe position where there are backup plans to the backup plans.
I mean, I'm sure, in my head, trying to be a bit optimistic, which is unusual. I'm sure they have plans for the summer, and I'm sure they have targets for the summer, that.
Sure, I believe that as well.
So, seeing how the season has been panning out, and the situation with Rashford, the situation with Anthony, and seeing how Boyd and Xerxes are misfiring. So a loan deal with no obligation to buy, whoever it is, I'm gonna take it honestly. It's not gonna affect us. It wouldn't do us any harm. So if Nkunku comes in, I think this season, fitness-wise, he's been better, but he's not been playing because, like you said, he doesn't fit the system. That's all. He's been playing the Conference League, and he's been scoring, which is not something very impressive, to be honest, but at least he's scoring, he might do well. Sometimes you get these deals, these players that everyone seems to forget about, they're forgotten. They go to another team, and suddenly they're back into form for some reason or not. So, and you can never predict these things. It's a chance worth taking. That's all I'm gonna say. For the next 6 months, and then if it works out and he was really, really good, and you want to make him permanent, you can do that. If not, just move him on and just continue with your summer plans. So we need something.
I just say you're right. We definitely do need something, but I just don't think. I think that approach is fundamentally flawed because we're in relegation form. We need something. We need a proven goal scorer now, and I don't think Nkunku is that player. I don't think Matthias Tell is that player. I don't know who that player is.
It's Ozil.
I mean,
honestly,
of course, but he's going nowhere. The links with him have died off. They've completely died.
Galatasaray have signed him.
Anyway,
so I don't know.
Who? Morata.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know.
But they'll probably play two. The other slightly concerning thing is that there aren't any more announcements of players going out. There was a big furore around Casemiro leaving and going to Roma last week, I think it was, or the week before. And there's been nothing since. But he's the only one that they've been touting as leaving recently. Obviously, we've had Anthony. The Rashford saga is now finally over, which, I mean, I feel sad about it. I feel like we've talked about this quite a lot. I do feel sad about it, genuinely. Because of, Manchester lad made it good, scored on his debut in pretty much every competition. Yeah. I'm just glad he's gone because he's over and done with now. Amorim can just get on with managing the players that he has. But then when you look at the likes of Casemiro, he's not going anywhere, is he? He's just sitting there. No one's come in for him. There's been no mention from anyone else apart from Roma, and that's it.
Yeah, like you said, all the noise around that has died out for some reason. It's the issue that we've been having because it's so tough moving players on. when they're on the wages that they're on. Like it's just no one's gonna come in for them. And yeah, Casemiro, I think like he came on against Steaua Bucharest. That was the first time we've seen him in I don't know how long. And yeah, like that's why we need a rebuild. That's exactly why we need a rebuild. So these things are tough to do in the January transfer window. Even Malacia, I don't know why. Like the move broke down. He was going to Benfica. So
yeah. It broke down. I think it was over salary. I think that's what they said. It came down to finances. So, I mean, I completely forgot about that. But again, there's another forgotten man there hasn't been any mention about him going anywhere. Okay, so let's do this. What's your prediction for tomorrow morning? We wake up with what? Manchester United wake up with what players?
Yeah, I still think we're gonna sign Matthias Dutt. Even though last night, the reports came out that the move is completely off because Bayern's demands weren't realistic. But yeah, I still think we're gonna find a way to bring him in. What about you?
There's no specific player. I reckon Tell's probably the most likeliest one to come in. But I think Manchester United will surprise us, and I think there'll be more than one player that will come in by the end of the window.
Yeah.
I think there will be possibly 2 loan signings that come in, or 3, because that squad is wafer thin. It was 2 goalkeepers on the bench yesterday. Rashford's gone, Anthony's gone, Casemiro's legs have gone. You know, it's difficult to replace those people. But I've got a feeling that there's going to be a couple, two or 3.
Like any specific positions in mind?
I think they'll look for a midfielder. And I think they'll definitely look for a striker. But the attacking players, I think there might be 2 of them. I think there'll be one in midfield that is physically strong, and then there'll be 2 possibly for the attacking positions, Tell and one other, because we haven't got enough. We haven't got enough. If it's just Matthias Tell, forget it. We could be looking at relegation this season. Easy.